Yeah, but I want to go all the way to the beginning. How this all, like, the genesis of it all, you know? How did it all start? At 11 years old, you got kicked out of home.
Yeah.
But before that, where were you living and who were you living with?
It's crazy. I feel looking back on it now, it's something that's kind of like really surreal. So I guess starting from the very beginning, firstly, as far as I can imagine, I always had a passion for music. Actually, you know, I think the first passion I ever had, and I don't think I've ever told anyone this, but I wanted to be a tennis player.
No way.
Actually, yeah.
How did that come about? What did you...
I just always, I love sports. I love sports and music.
Yeah.
And those were two things I really loved. And I felt like I wasn't really great at music. That was never something. Actually, let me come back to that. Let me start from the very beginning. I guess from the very beginning, I was brought up in a neglectful, kind of unsafe environment. And I have a twin brother, and I guess I was going to school at these certain times. I was going to school. I was on and off from school. I then got kicked out of home at the age of 11, and I found myself homeless, and that's when I dropped out of school. It just was an environment where I just didn't attend, and just due to my situation. And I guess at that age, you kind of you become like street smart. You know the surroundings, and you kind of adapt really quickly. And then from that day, I remember it pretty vividly. I got kicked out and I left, and I just never returned. And that was the last time I ever went home. And I was with my twin brother during this period, and so many stories. I feel like I talk about this in a lot of my music. This is where most of my music comes from. I talk about how I used to sleep next to bakeries for warmth. Like, I would know when the morning milk runs would come. I know when the bakeries would open. I remember climbing on top of the shops and sleeping next to chicken shops, the air vents. I remember staying in sand ditches and golf courses with my twin. And and I talk about this in this song I wrote, Concrete Pillar. I talk about how I used to stuff newspaper under my jackets. Looking back at, like, in that situation then, I feel like it was normal. I feel like I didn't know. Like,
that's all you knew, yeah.
Yeah, and I knew that it's not right, and I knew that this isn't, like, you know, this is not normal, but it was, I guess that was the normal. It just happened, and I guess it became normal. And yeah, I remember this Red Cross, this small Red Cross, where in Sydney actually, and it was, someone had donated a lounge chair, and it was way too big for it to, like, go through the doors and stuff. It was a massive lounge chair, and I remember me and my brother saw it, and we used to turn it upside down on the side at night, and we used to crawl under there and sleep under there
for shelter and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. And that was probably where we stayed there for, like, that was the most period we stayed for. And I guess like where I was at, I would go into shops and I'd steal my food. I'd just go and eat, and I guess that's when I got picked up by the Department of Community Services. I was put in a variety of foster homes, so I bounced between so many different foster homes, just all over the place, all over Sydney, and it was just something that. Yeah, it's just something that I just adapted to. It was life for me.
Yeah.